In this video, we're gonna turn this into this and this into this, using primarily range masks in Lightroom. Will Simpson here, and welcome to Exploring Photography. Today we're gonna go over range masks. Now, I'm sure if you've watched a lot of my videos, you know what the local adjustments are. The radial adjustment, the graduated filter, and the adjustment brush in Lightroom. So this is kind of like a level 3, I would say, like a level 3 video, because if you don't know what those are, this is gonna be kind of a confusing video, because I'm gonna do these edits primarily using the adjustment, the local adjustments, and that's what makes Lightroom super powerful. Yes, you can do a lot of edits with the global adjustments, but the local adjustments, the ones that allow you to pinpoint certain parts of the image, really allow you to bring your edits to life and really make your edits amazing. It's kind of like what Photoshop does, where you use layers. You can stack these layers to really pinpoint certain sections of the image and adjust the colors and all that. So this is like Lightroom's simple way of doing that. Obviously, Photoshop is way more involved and you can do a lot more, but this is definitely very important. So this video, we're gonna do these two edits primarily using range masks. So what is a range mask? Well, a range mask is a way for you to target specific parts of an image to adjust those parts individually. So let's say you had a picture and then you had a mask on the picture that covers everything but the mountain in the picture. So any adjustment you made to that mask adjusts just the mountain and not the rest of the image. So that's kind of the very basic version of what it is. We're gonna do it in Lightroom, and you'll see a lot more involved. It'll be a better example. Once we get into Lightroom and into the editing, it'll make a lot more sense. Now, just so you know, I've already done all of these edits. I have them all noted down, so I'm gonna go through them on my notes because, let's face it, I'm not that good. To be honest, if I were to do this just off the cuff, this video would probably be like 30 minutes. So don't get disappointed or frustrated if you can't do it fast. You know, it takes a lot of practice, and these notes, man, I noted down every single thing, every single change that I have to do to make it easier and this video shorter. So without making this video longer and me just ramble, let's jump into Lightroom and get started. Firstly, I want to thank Brett Blakely, who submitted this photo that I could edit it on here. This is Yosemite Falls from Yosemite, and it is a spectacular photo. Anyways, I will link his Instagram below. I highly recommend you guys go check him out. His photos are sizzling. They are sizzling. Anyways, let's get started with the image. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to go down here into lens correction, and I'm just going to enable profile corrections and remove chromatic aberrations. So you can see here that this was shot on a Tamron lens, Tamron 2875. So then we're going to go up here, and here are the settings. ISO 160, 28mm, f6.3 at 0.5 seconds, which means he probably was on a tripod. So it's good to know those settings there. Then we're gonna go into basic, and we're gonna make a few little adjustments globally before we get into the masking. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do the profile. We're gonna make it Adobe Landscape. Now, if you notice the difference here, so Adobe Color, Adobe Landscape. It puts a little bit more saturation and it brings back a little bit of detail in the image. Now, the first thing we want to do is let's look at the image. So it's very underexposed, which is totally fine. It's a raw image, we can recover it. It's a big raw image, mind you, but we can recover a lot of the details. Now, I could simply up the shadows and up the exposure here, but you notice it affects the entire image, and we don't want to do that. We want to affect certain parts of the image because you notice now the sky is kind of blown out. Again, I could lower the highlights and that looks just fine. But some people like to do it a little bit more targeted, and that's where these masks come in. So let's go ahead and reset that. Double clicking on the sliders to reset them. What we're gonna do is we're gonna click on the graduated filter, and we're going to click on the side here because we want it to affect the whole image. And if you press O on your keyboard, you can see it affects the entire image. Then what we're gonna do is we're gonna raise the exposure to 187. 189 is fine. And you notice it affects the entire image. So to fix that, we're gonna scroll down here, we're gonna go to range mask, and we're gonna select luminance. Now, we'll do color later on, but luminance is the light, the brights and the darks. So click luminance. Now you have a couple of options here. You have show luminance mask. So if we click that, all the red is where the effect is being applied. So we wanna limit it just to the shadows and the dark parts, right? Because we don't want it to affect the highlights and brighten up that part of the image. So we're going to come down here to this slider. Now on the left side is your darks, The right side is the lights. So if you click this slider and slide it over, notice how the red starts fading out in the highlights. And it fades all the way down. You can pull it all the way, so you're just affecting basically the blacks. Now if you do the other way, click on the range slider on the left, slide it, now you're pulling it out of the blacks. And so you're just affecting now all the highlights, and you can adjust it as specific as you want, which is why it's so powerful. So let's go ahead and adjust this to how we want it, because watch this. If I take off this luminance mask and I take it out of the brights, the image starts to look a little weird. Like that looks crappy. So you have to be very specific when you're doing this. It's mild touches to get the results that you want. Don't just, crank the slider left and right, because it will affect a lot. You'll notice there is a lot of highlights, a lot of brights here. You got it in the sky, you have it in the fog here, you have it on the tops of the little grassy things here and the water. So when you pull this slider a lot, you lose a lot of detail, which is no good. So we're just gonna pull this over a shade to about 87. That's all we're gonna do. And then we're gonna lower the smoothness to 34. This makes it a little bit clear cut. So if I show the luminance mask again, it makes the adjustments a little bit more precise. So all the way to the right is very feathered, very smooth transition. And over to the left is very harsh transitions. Notice how it's a very clear line on the mountains. So we want more of a harsh transition because we really want to affect those darks. So we're going to place this at about 37. Now this first, we're going to do 2 images, just so you know. So this first image, we're going to go through everything slowly. Then we're going to do the second image, and we're going to do it much faster. So just bear with me, because there's a lot of information to go over here. All right, so that's the first range mask. So then we're going to turn off the luminance mask by pressing that, and we're going to scroll up. And the next one we're gonna do is we're going to do the plants. So we're just gonna scroll up here and click new, and then we're going to apply this gradient to just the bottom of the image. See, if you press O, see how it's just on the bottom. So then we're gonna scroll down here and we're gonna select range mask color. And then this gives you the option to select certain colors in the image. So click the eyedropper tool, and we'll go ahead and press O so you can see what we're doing. Click the eyedropper tool and we're gonna click here. So we're gonna see how it's now green, it's got that. And then if you press the shift key, you'll get a plus sign. So then we're gonna click here. Nope, we're not gonna click there. If you press the option key, it'll cut that. So shift to add more colors, and option to clip away ones. So we're just gonna find where we can just get the grass. Actually, I think that's fine, good. Now we have the grass. So let's press O on the keyboard to take off the mask so we don't see it. We're gonna adjust the hue. We're gonna drop this down, and you notice only the parts that we selected are changing color. So we're gonna change this to about 36, 35, something like that, just to give a nice orangey look, and it's looking much better. With the blues in the image, the orange really pops, but it's a little too intense. So let's go ahead and drop the saturation to -30 or so. That's better. It was too much. It was too punchy. Okay, good. So then that is done for those. The next one we're gonna do is we're gonna affect the sky a little. So let's scroll up, let's press new, and then we're gonna drag this down here, and we just wanna affect the sky. So you see, we just have the sky there. We can actually pull it up a little, good. Then we're gonna scroll down again, and we're going to do another range mask to luminance. And on this one, we're going to make it a little bit orangier. So +2 on the temperature. Very minor adjustment. Then we're gonna do -41 on the clarity, because the sky is supposed to be soft. It's supposed to be very supple sky, smooth. You don't want clarity. So if you up the clarity here, that doesn't look good. I mean, actually, that doesn't look too bad. You know what, let's up the clarity. Let's change things up a little, shall we? All right, we're gonna go to 50 clarity. Not too much, but you know what? I like it. Let's use it. Okay, good. Now let's scroll down to the luminance mask, and we're gonna change this and take it out of all the dark areas. So we're gonna take this all the way over to 95. That way it is only affecting the sky. See, only the red is, actually we can kind of do this a little bit more, get a little bit more punch. Let's say 80. Beautiful, there we go. Let's turn that off, and looking better. All right, so before, after, only range masks, looking good. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is the blue in the sky. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take another graduated filter, and we're gonna drag it here, and then we're gonna use the color one on this one. So let's scroll down to range mask, color, select the option, and then press O so we see. and we just want the color. Boom, done. We got the beautiful, beautiful sky only. So then press O to remove the mask so we can see what we're doing. And with this, we're going to lower the exposure to -76 because we want the dark blue, really intense blue to contrast with that orange. Then we're going to change the hue of just the sky to about a -11. There we go, that. So we get a dark, rich, tealish blue color that really punches, really makes a good look. And you'll notice that it's not affecting anything in the foreground because we just have it selected on that color with the mask up there. So it's very, very specific. It is looking good, guys. We are looking good. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna use a brush tool, and we're going to scroll down. Let's clear everything by double clicking effect. We're gonna scroll down, we're gonna click auto mask, make sure that's selected. Press O to see where your mask is, and then we're just gonna click here, keep the plus sign on the mountains, because I just want to put this mask on the mountains. We're gonna go around the trees a little. Beautiful, looking good. Okay, we overlapped there, so let's go ahead and press Option on the keyboard and erase this because we don't want to affect the sky. And, oh no, almost got it. Very, very, very specific tool here, so sometimes just be a little bit careful. Okay, good, let's just clean that up. Okay, good, press O, and what we're gonna do is we want that mountain to really stand out, so we're gonna pump the clarity, people. Pump the clarity. Pump it up, yeah. We're gonna bring this up to 51. Woo, look at that. Okay, so before and after real quick. So just the brush, if you scroll down to the bottom, this will turn on and off all the brushes. Look at that. Huge difference. That looks amazing. Oh my God, I'm loving it. Okay, next step, the waterfall. We want that waterfall to stand out a little, so we're gonna come up here to the brush. We're gonna zoom on in, spacebar, and then move. And then what we're gonna do, let's zoom out just a shade. We're just gonna paint the waterfall real quick. Let's see where we got it, because I know we messed up a little. Let's go ahead and erase this over here. Beautiful, beautiful. Sorry this is taking so long, but there are a few steps, and this will give you a very good example. The next step will be much faster. Press O, and then with this one, we're going to raise the exposure to about 50, 60, something like that. And then we're gonna pump the clarity on this bad boy. Wanna see that thing glow. Good, and let's zoom out. All right, oh man. Now that really pulls your attention. That is looking awesome. All right, and the final thing, and this is a great, great step here. This is dodging and burning the entire image super quick. Let's click the graduated filter. Let's go ahead and click over here so we don't get them mixed up. We wanna affect the whole image. See, whole image affected. First thing, we're gonna dodge. So we're gonna raise the exposure of this one to 0.30. Very, very subtle. Then we're gonna scroll down to the range mask, click luminance, and we're gonna pull this out of the darks. So we're gonna go up here to about 55, and there you go. You see how it pulls out of the dark rocks? Good. Clear off the range mask. Boom, that one's done. Scroll back up, press new. We're gonna create basically the same thing. See, covers the whole screen, except this one we're gonna burn, which is darken. So we're gonna lower the exposure to -33, -40, whatever. Just subtle. Notice how it affects the whole image, not for long. So let's do range mask, let's do luminance, and we're gonna pull this out of the lights. So the right side this time, we're gonna pull it out to about middle. See how it pulls it out of all the brights in the sky and the water. And there we go, turn that off. And there we have it. Wow, that is a killer image, guys. Look at that. Okay, here's the before, and here is the after. Oh my God, that is incredible. And that is just by using local adjustments and the range mask. I didn't use the HSL, I didn't use the curve, I didn't use the calibration, I used nothing, just range mask. That is how powerful these tools are. All right, Brett, thank you so much for the image. I hope I made you proud. You guys definitely go check him out. I'll link him again below in the description. Also, here's his Instagram right here. But let's move on to the next image, and this one we're gonna do a little bit faster. Alrighty, so the next image, this image was taken in the Faroe Islands, and I want to thank my buddy Spencer Jones, who is letting me edit this image. He submitted it to me. I'll link him below. This photo was actually taken by a guy named Sam Robinson. His Instagram is America Sam. I hope I pronounced that right. Again, I'll link Sam and Spencer down below, but this photo was an engagement shoot that they did. They were actually on set helping film a movie. That's what Spencer does. He's primarily a movie editor, but he was out there helping on a movie set and decided to do an engagement session, and I'm super jealous because that is a beautiful place. Again, this Faroe Islands, highly recommend going there. I have not yet been there, but I really, really want to. Okay, so this image, we want to do him proud, and again, we're going to primarily use range masks. So let's get started with it. The first thing, we're going to do the lens correction. And just so you know, this was also taken with a Sigma 2470 2.8. It was taken ISO 400, 24mm f5, and at 1/160th of a second. First thing, let's go ahead and change it to Adobe Landscape. You see how it immediately makes those colors really punch. The contrast is increased, looks a little better. Then we're gonna up the white balance to about 6500 because I want a little bit more of a warmer tone to work with. So there we go, sure, that works good. You notice this light flare in the background. We really wanna make that punch. So the first mask we're gonna do is a graduated filter on the sky. We're gonna go ahead and place a graduated filter here. We're going to raise the white balance to 10 because we want it to be a little bit more orangey. We're gonna lower the highlights to about -60, and that way we get more detail in the sky. Then we're going to change the hue to about 0.74, which is gonna give us a little bit more orange in the sky there. You see how it turns a little bit more orange. And then we're gonna go down to luminance, and we're gonna pull this out of the darks. So we're gonna bring this over to about 74, so it only is affecting the highlights. See how it's not affecting the darks in the clouds, just the highlights. Go ahead and turn that off. All right, the next one we're gonna do is the clouds. So let's go ahead and press new. Let's do another range mask right here. We're gonna do -2 on the white balance to get a little bit more cool tones in it. Then we're gonna do -1 on the exposure because we really want it to be moody. We want that background to really kind of draw you in and just look like it's a moody scene. So let's go down here to the range mask, luminance. Go ahead and show that. And we're gonna pull this out of the highlights. There we go, just a little bit. I think that looks good. All right, let's go ahead and move this up a little because we don't want it to affect the mountains as much. All right, that is looking good. The next thing is the lake. We're gonna adjust the lake. So let's go ahead and press O on the keyboard, and let's go ahead and paint the lake here. We're doing a, remember, auto mask. So as long as you keep the plus sign, should mask only the similar colors. It's not perfect, but it will do a little bit. So there you go. Okay, good, that looks pretty good. Press O, clear that off. And the adjustments we're gonna make here, we're gonna make the color a little bit bluer. So -11, good. And then we're going to do clarity. We want a soft water. So we're gonna do 32, 33. The hue, we're gonna raise it, make it a little bit blue. That looks perfect. Ooh, that is looking nice. Okay, then we're gonna come down here, range mask, color, and we're going to select the water because we only want it to affect the water. So let's select this. Okay, good. Good, remember press plus to select other colors. And then the amount, we're gonna lower this to 34 because this is how much you're affecting it. So if I press O, 0 effect, 100% effect. So we're gonna lower this to about 34. And then we're gonna make a little bit of adjustment here. Put that back, I'm gonna click there, press O. We're gonna erase it off of here because we don't want it to affect there. Good. Now I'm pressing Option and just brushing over to delete it off of that part. Okay, good. So that looks good. So the water, looking great. The next thing is we're going to adjust the grass because it is just too green for my liking. So let's go ahead and press new. And we're just gonna make this an entire adjustment there. So we're just gonna cover the entire thing because then we're gonna come down here to color. And let's get the grass, look at that, perfect. Shift to add, okay, perfect. And then let's see, I think I wanna make this a little bit more specific. Okay, good, that worked. Sometimes you have to play around with this because you'll pick up too much color. It's just a matter of getting the right colors. So that's too much. That's too much. Where is it? All right, I think that'll work. We got a little too many selections that I want, but I think it'll work. So let's take off the mask overlay so we can see the adjustments, and we're gonna come up here to saturation. We're gonna lower the saturation to -40. Good, so you see it takes out that color out of the green. It looks much better already. We're gonna come down here to amount, and we're gonna lower this to 28 because we want a very little adjustment, not too much. And then we're gonna drop the clarity to 30 because we want it soft. We want it to kind of darken. That looks better. All right, so let's look at a before and after real quick before we get too far ahead of ourselves. Before, after, looking awesome, much better. Okay, the next step is we are going to brighten the sun. We're gonna make this area, that highlight, really glow. So we're gonna use a radial filter for this. I'm gonna go ahead and stretch it out just like that because it kind of goes all the way over here. And we're going to adjust it to 20 because we really want the orange glow. Then the exposure, 0.13, just a shade brighter. Then come down to your range mask, click luminance, show the mask, and we're gonna pull this out of the darks about halfway, just like that. So it only is affecting those highlight areas. That is looking good. And then the smoothness, we want it pretty harsh, so let's lower this to 28, 26, that works. Okay, good. That is looking much, much better. And then finally, we're gonna do some dodge and burn here. So let's click the graduated filter, select for the entire image. Then we're gonna dodge first. So we're gonna brighten the image to 0.20, let's say 27. Go down here to your range mask, click luminance, show luminance mask, and we're gonna pull this out of the darks. So we're gonna raise this to 60, perfect. Done, okay, good, that looks good. Another one. Graduated filter covering the whole image. This one we're gonna burn, so we're gonna darken. So let's go to 34, 37. Scroll down to range mask. This time we're gonna pull it out of the brights. So slide this over quite a bit to, let's say 35, 34, something like that. It's only affecting the darks. Perfect, that is looking awesome. All right, and then we're gonna put a little bit of a kind of a vignette, but not a vignette, more of just a graduated filter. So press new, press shift, so we get a straight filter here, and then we're just gonna lower this, and we're gonna really pull the attention to them. And then finally, let's go ahead and do a brush adjustment on them. Auto mask, make sure auto mask is selected here. Then we're just gonna paint them, keep the plus sign on them, so pretty much we'll keep them masking. Good, here we go. We're just gonna brighten them up. Let's go ahead and erase that. That way they kind of stand out a little bit more. Get their feetsies here. They said that it was super cold and super windy, but whatever, the photos were epic, so it was totally worth it. Okay, let's speed this up. Sorry guys, this video is getting a lot longer than I expected, but I hope you're learning a lot. Okay, oh shoot. All right, here we go. Get her hair. This the auto mask does a pretty good job. You kind of have to be a little specific with it, but it doesn't do too bad. Okay, I think we are going to say that's good. Zoom out here, turn off the overlay, and we're just gonna brighten them up a little bit, just a shade. So plus 40, good. So they kind of pop out of the image a little bit more, and there we go. All right, before, after. Now, a few more tweaks, and this is gonna be more of a global adjustment because I think it's gonna make it look a little bit better. So overall, I wanna lower the exposure, just a shade, and then I wanna up the contrast, just a shade, and then I'm gonna add a actual vignette to it, just a shade, I mean, not even much. And finally, I'm gonna adjust the blue calibration, which will really intensify the teals and the oranges and make the image stand out. But again, very, very slightly. So boom, there it is. Now, to make this even better, we're going to crop it to our standard 4x5 and straighten the horizon. Boom, there it is. Oh, that's not straight yet. Hang on, there, that. Okay, good, that looks good to me. And there we go, before and after. You can't forget to, you know, straighten the images. I do it all the time. Anyways, all right, and that's it. So that is range mask for you guys. I know this video was a lot longer than I expected, but it is a cool and very, very powerful tool. You guys can make incredible, very, very specific edits in Lightroom to really pinpoint exactly what you want using the color, which is individual colors, or the luminance, which is the light, where you want to affect the darks or the brights. So practice with it. Now you might be saying, well, why couldn't I have just done that on the global edits? Well, that's the thing. There's global edits and then there's local adjustments. Sure, a lot of this stuff you probably could have done in the HSL or the basic or the tone curve and things like that, but these are very, very specific. When you start adjusting your specifics, your images become more alive because you're adjusting and creating contrast where you can't do as a global adjustment. So in your editing, make sure to apply and use your graduated filters, adjustment brushes, and your radial tools, and use the range mask because it is so powerful and you are going to create some amazing images with it. So with that, that is the end of the video. Make sure to like it if this is helpful. Comment if you have any questions or if you have a better way to use them, because I am definitely not an expert. This is just how I use them. And subscribe if you haven't already. I do videos like this every Monday at 7 p.m. But otherwise, guys, I'll see you next Monday. Firstly, I want to thank Firstly, I want to thank... Damn it. Mamma mia, here we go again. My. Okay, good. I can talk again. Firstly, I want to thank Brett, I can't say your name. I'm sorry. I can't say Brett Blakely. It just... Woo! All right.